Chef Buck here, and today we are going to use the Mueller French press. All aluminum, iron, no, stainless steel French press. It's from Austria. G'day, g'day.
No!
They know how to make a French press down there. You know?
Oh.
You call that a French press? That's a French. This is a French press.
Lame.
I love French presses. I used to have one in Seattle and used it all the time, but we've been moving the last few years, so I haven't had one. Because even when we were stationary in Seattle, you know, most French presses, when you think of a French press, you think of that delicate, thin, I mean pointlessly thin glass that you can just look at and it'll break. I mean, I love those French presses, but I break them. So I didn't want to get a French press while we're traveling because I will break it. So I got this here, which I've never, I don't know why, it was sort of, I don't know, I wasn't thrilled about the idea of a stainless steel French press.
It's shiny.
It is shiny, which is nice. But we are going on a house sit this summer, and the person we're house sitting for says they don't have a coffee maker. So
they have a pour over.
They have a pour over like I have, but they don't have an actual coffee maker. This is what I generally use to make my coffee if I'm making coffee for myself, because this is ideal for one person. And I've used this almost daily for the last year since we've been here in lockdown, because Camera Girl's been making a lot of cold brew. But when we get up to the mountains where we're going this summer, we'll probably be making hot coffee for both of us, maybe, if Camera Girl gets off her cold brew kick. But she'll probably be drinking cold brew and hot coffee, because what's going to be better than sitting in the mountains in the evening with in the morning with a nice cup of hot coffee? Anyway, I'm going on and on. This is a stainless steel French press. It's just like a regular French press, except you can't see it. So it's less cool.
I can see it, it's in your hand.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about this. I like the look of a regular glass French press. That's what I think of when I think of a French press. But this is exactly the same thing. You know, you don't use it differently any which way. Now you can see inside the pot here, it'll actually show you the measurements, sort of like a measuring doohickey. So if you want, you can fill it up with as much water as you want, and then put it on a pan on the stove and blah, 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 figure it out that way. But this here is double-walled, insulated. So it'll keep your coffee hot while you are brewing it. You know, while it's sitting in here with the hot water, it will stay warm, and it has a double whammy hold lid too. So this is great in that it keeps your coffee hotter while it is brewing. So that is one advantage of this over your regular glass French press. But the way they market it, the way they make it sound like you can keep your coffee in here even after you brew it and it'll stay warm. You know, and I read some of the reviews, people talking about, well, they can make their French press coffee and then they can drink their coffee and then have it still in here hot. But that, I don't really get that, because once you brew it in here and it stays hotter while it's brewing, but once it's finished brewing, you kind of got to get it out of here. You don't want to leave your coffee in here because it's going to be sitting in the coffee ground. So, you know, I like this because I can make 2 cups of coffee very easily, maybe even 3 cups of coffee, and, you know, have it all brewed and done with. But then I got to pour it into a carafe or pour it into another cup, and then heat it up in the microwave or heat it up somehow. But I do not want to leave it in here because it'll be steeping in the coffee grounds way longer than it needs to. But one thing that I was concerned about was the handle. I was wondering how the handle was going to be on this pot. And it actually is very sturdy. I was afraid that it was going to be screwed in there or a weeble wobble type dealio, but it's very secure. Now, one semi-drawback to this, I think, is that it's heavy. I mean, I'm so powerful. I mean, that's not really a concern of mine, but it might be yours if you're a...
Whatever.
You know, like the picture of the guy getting the sand kicked in his face. If you're the guy laying down with the sand in his face, this might be heavier than you want. For me, I'm the kicker.
It's not that heavy. I don't have upper body strength. It was fine.
It's just heavy. I mean, for traveling, because this is going to go in our kitchen kit. You know, our little travel kitchen. It's a great size. I thought maybe it might be too big, because it is a little bit bigger than our old French press, but I like the size. So when you get your French press, it might be all together like this here, but after you make your coffee after you put in your beans in here, your hot water, and you press it and you let it sit, and then you drink your coffee, and then it's all dirty and mucky. You want to clean the coffee grounds out of here, but then you're also going to have to clean this every time you use it. So it unscrews. There's a couple of different pieces here. So you unscrew the mesh bottom, and then there's 3 pieces. The very bottom piece, your screen, and then this larger little mesh doohickey right here. There's also another piece. And I don't usually take this off when I clean it. You know, maybe once in a blue moon I will take this off, you know, and clean it and dry it. But usually I don't. But if you do take it completely apart, you want to make sure and not lose this piece here, because it is essential. So I really don't take that off very often. But another drawback to this, now that I'm thinking about it, is on this double walled lid here, which helps to keep it warm. It's hollow, just like this is hollow. You know, it's got the 2 walls and then hollow inside. And this has 2 walls and it's hollow inside.
Holla, holla, holla.
But it has these holes right here, where it's very easy for water to get in here and then become trapped in here. I haven't had a problem with it because I've been careful when I'm washing it, you know, not to just throw this in a sink full of water so that it will fill with water and then I'll have a little bit of moisture trapped in here. So I've been mindful not to have that happen. But after you clean it, to put it back together, this is the bottom part. You put the mesh part on here. Then you put this little doohickey part on here. And as you can see, this mesh, it's just like a screen on a screen door. It's a little bit finer than that, but it's very easy to see through. So this is the mesh that filters your water through your coffee. And the difference, like this is a regular paper filter, you know, for a coffee maker. You know, you can kind of see through it, but it's opaque. So it is a much finer mesh. Even on this pour over coffee maker right here, you know, it's a mesh, but it's super duper fine. So you can pretty much put all kinds of grounds in here. Now, because this mesh isn't as fine, you sort of have to use whole beans, which is a good thing because the best coffee comes from beans that you grind yourself. So a French press sort of forces you to make the best coffee because you have to take your beans and you have to coarsely grind them. I've already got some ground up right here. You can see the difference when you buy ground coffee. It's this consistency right here. But what you want to do is you want to grind your own coffee so that it is a coarse grind. If I make coffee in a French press with this type of coffee, it's going to be very cloudy. But if you don't have a grinder, you know, maybe there is a grinder at the store where you buy coffee. Like if you go to one of these big box places or even a fancy place like Whole Foods or whatever, sometimes they'll sell coffee beans in like a bin, like a bulk bin, and you can just kind of bag up your coffee and you can grind it at the store. They'll have a big fancy grinder there and you can just put it on coarse and grind your own coffee at the store, and then you don't have to have a grinder. If you do have a grinder, then it's going to be more freshly ground. And we don't use a fancy coffee grinder at all. This is my mother-in-law's coffee grinder. It's just a blade grinder. But you will definitely have to grind your own beans if you're using a French press. So, we've got our mesh here, and we just screw the tippity part on there. Boom, boom, boom. And it's ready to go. That's all there is to this, and that's how I have it sitting around and stored until I'm ready to use it. But now I'm going to make my coffee. So I've got 2.5 cups of water right here. So I've already got this pre-measured. So I'll heat this up. You know, and you can heat the water on the stove or you can heat it in a microwave, however you want to do it. You know, like I said, this has got your pre-measurements in here. So if you wanted, you could just pour your water in here, then pour it in a pot on the stove and then know how much you're going to put in here. But you're going to want to know that, you know, because you want to measure your coffee and put it in here. Alright, so I got my water boiling, which is too hot. You don't want to use boiling water for your French press coffee. So I'll set this over here and I'll let it sit for a minute. Because if I bring water to a boil and then let it sit for a minute, then it becomes the absolute perfect temperature.
Oh, you didn't say this.
This also came in here.
Dun dun dun!
You know, it's a bonus. It's for storing your coffee beans, this little thing.
It's for extra if you grind too much.
But I just use a jar. This is just an okra jar. Or you could use like a little, it's basically this. It's like a pimento jar or something like that.
But it's fancy pants.
So, and then they put this little aluminum stuff around it. So it looks fancy.
Stainless steel.
This is just garbage, though. This is pointless. This could be any kind of thing. So
it's bling.
This is a bonus, but whatever. But this here is a very well-made pot. I'm super duper happy with this here. So my water is coming up to the right temperature there, but I'm going to go ahead, and since I got 2.5 cups, I'm going to put 5 heaping spoonfuls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So depending on how much water you're going to add in here, you know, you just want to add the right amount of beans and just throw it right in the pot. And I'm going to add my water, and I usually pour most of it in there, and then I'll give it a stir, and then I pour the rest over the spoon so I get any grounds that are stuck to my spoon in my pot. And now we'll go ahead and we'll put the top on so it'll keep our coffee warm. And now I'm going to let the beans steep in the hot water for 4 minutes. Now you can see there's a lid on top here with an arrow. Can you see the arrow right there? So that'll be pointed forward when we're ready to pour. So I want to turn it this way so it helps to seal it a little bit more. I want to go down here on the pot so they can see how well sealed it is. And now we'll wait for 4 minutes. So let me check my time. 2:26, so we'll be back at 2:30. That's right, 2:30 in the afternoon. So as you can see, I'm probably going to be up late tonight.
Woohoo!
Beep, 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 beep.
So after 4 minutes of steeping, we want to slowly push our plunger down. No need to be overly aggressive. You know, there's no hurry. You know, if it takes 5 seconds or it takes 3 seconds, you know, that's not much time. So now I'm going to pour it into 2 cups because I got 2 cups of coffee here. Are you down there so they can see the luxurious deliciousness of the coffee? Oh, shoot! I forgot something. I forgot to turn it around to the arrow so that it will pour more easily. Get down so that now they can see the luxurious flow
Amateur.
of the coffee. Now that looks a little more picturesque. So I got about half of the pot right there. And the other one in this cup.
Go ahead, talk about the controversial part. You put half and half in your coffee.
I'm not going to dress up my coffee for that. That's not for the video. But I've definitely got room for cream because I'm going to put cream in my coffee. But that's it. This coffee is ready. And it's hot and delicioso. It'll be more delicious once I put my half and half in there. Because that's how I like my coffee. It's grandpa coffee. Because I started drinking coffee when I was that big. At my grandpa's table, and he would put too much milk in my coffee so that I would drink it. So that's what I'm used to drinking. So that's what I like. But that's it. There's some French press coffee. Now I just have to clean this muck up. So every time you use it, you have to take this apart and clean it. You know, you have to get rid of the grounds. It's really easy to clean. Well, I like to turn on the water, and I like to just wash my beans into the pot. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, so you don't get it down the drain.
Yeah, so I'm not getting any coffee grounds down the drain. So now it's already pretty clean. But still, you know, you have to take it apart and do the actual cleaning.
Unless you're Messy Marvin.
Because you can see there's still plenty of stuff in here. But I just make sure it goes in the pot. And not down the drain. So I've got these pieces here that I need to clean. Alright, come on out here, camera girl, and I'll show you.
What? I don't know that we have to go outside to watch you throw it out.
I'm going to throw it out, yeah.
Alright. Oh, it feels good out here.
Alright. So then you just take your pot out to your yard and you swirl it around so the beans are loose.
Wow.
And then you throw it out there.
That's amazing.
Now, if you live in a house, you could do that. If you live in an apartment, then you would just go in the hallway and do that.
Oh my gosh.
But it's best to look both ways before you do, because you know how neighbors can be. So that's it. So now all I have to do is wash up my individual pieces of French press, put it back together, and then I'll be ready for the next day. So, check out all the links down below. I'll have links to this and other French presses so you can check out the prices. I'll have a link to the Cafellissimo pour over coffee maker, which is fantastic for one person. This is going to be good for 2 or 3 people. But that's it. Thanks for watching. If you are a coffee aficionado, wannabe type person and you've never used a French press, you know, definitely give a French press a try. And if you're a clumsy person, you know, maybe a stainless steel one. But that's it. Blah, blah, blah. We've covered it all. We'll see you in the future. Bye-bye.
I think you've had too much coffee already.
I have had too much coffee, and now look. Boom.
Let's have it, man. Let's
2
go
more to go.
wild.
That's right. And it is, what is it? It's almost 3 o'clock.
Woo!
I predict a late night.